Hello there, my name is Caroline. I'm a physiotherapist and a yoga teacher, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about what diaphragmatic or belly breathing is, why we want to do it, and how to do it. So you might have heard a yoga teacher or somebody tell you, to use your diaphragm to breathe into the belly, but what does that actually mean, and how can we, try and do it effectively? So without getting too much into the science of why we want to do that, I'm just going to give you a couple of reasons why it's useful to bring the breath down into the lower part of the body. One is when we feel stressed and tense and anxious, we tend to take shorter, shallower, more rapid breaths. It's part of the fight or flight response, getting us ready for fleeing, fighting, that kind of prehistoric, ancient, reflex that we have. Whether that stress is real and our life is in danger, or whether we're just sitting at our desk and we have a deadline. These changes in our body happen anyway. So when our breath changes when we're stressed, we breathe into the upper parts of our lungs usually. The muscles around the neck and the shoulders and the chest get tense, and we tend to hold tension in our bellies so that our diaphragm can't move, it gets splinted. Now the problem with this, one of the problems with it, is that all the blood in our lungs tends to be at the bases of our lungs, at the bottom parts of our lungs. Just by the effects of gravity, the blood will come down, pool in the bases of our lungs. So when we're breathing, the air is getting up here and all the blood is down here. There's a bit of a mismatch happening. And so it's a very inefficient way of breathing because we need the blood and the oxygen, the air, to be in the same place at the same time so that the oxygen can be absorbed into our bloodstream and our body can get rid of carbon dioxide. Does that make sense? So one of the benefits of diaphragmatic or belly breathing is that we bring the breath down into the lungs so that the air and the blood can mix more easily, and breathing just becomes much more efficient. Another reason is, if we get into a habit of breathing in that way, by creating tension in our neck and shoulders and upper back, that can send a signal back up to the brain so that even when we're not particularly stressed or anxious in that moment, when we are in a habit of breathing in that way, it actually has a sort of reverse effect that it can make us feel anxious. Even, because everything in the body is like a two-way street. This happens by way of the vagus nerve, which is a very popular body part at the moment. Everybody's excited about the vagus nerve. So, two main reasons why belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing is beneficial is that it's much more efficient for the respiratory system, for the lungs, and it has a much more calming effect on the nervous system. It can literally soothe our nervous system and bring us out of fight or flight mode and more into parasympathetic rest or digest mode. Okay, we're going to do some now. So we're going to do it just lying on our backs, our feet flat on the floor, our knees bent up a little bit. Maybe just let your knees tip in towards each other here. And just get yourself comfortable, maybe have a wriggle, let your upper arms rest down on the floor, and just have your hands resting on your belly. Now, the first thing we need to do for diaphragmatic breathing is to make sure the belly is relaxed. I should have maybe explained. So the diaphragm is a broad, flat muscle that sits underneath your lungs and on top of all the abdominal cavity, on top of your digestive system, on top of the liver, and it's like a sheet of muscle that goes across. This, ideally, is the main muscle of breathing. When it contracts acts, it pulls in and down and it draws air into the lungs. And as it relaxes, it lifts up and the air is expelled from the lungs. So this is the kind of action that we're going to try and cultivate and tune into when we're doing some belly breathing. The first thing we have to do is make sure that the belly is completely relaxed. So really have a little prod around with your belly to make sure that the abdominal muscles are switched off. You don't want to tense your abdominals at all here. As women in particular, but also maybe as men, we are very well trained at holding our bellies in. I mean, we all want to look slimmer, right? So we're trained to hold our bellies in, contract your core. But actually, this has quite a negative effect on our ability to use our diaphragm to breathe. When our belly's held in for long periods of time, the diaphragm cannot pull down, and actually holding your belly in like that can make us feel anxious, believe it or not. So we're relaxing the belly, soft, relaxed belly. And now just take a moment just to tune into your natural breathing. So maybe closing your eyes here in this position. Just relax. And just start to notice your breath without changing it at all. Normal breathing, easy breathing. But just start to notice the rhythm, the pattern and the movement of your breath. Just notice how it feels. Notice how fast or slow. And in particular, notice where you feel the movement of the breath happening. Can you feel your chest and your ribs moving? Can you feel your belly moving? And now we're just going to build up to a slightly longer, fuller, deeper breath. So begin to take slightly longer, fuller inhales through the nose if possible. The nose is a much better organ of breathing than the mouth. I'll maybe do that in another video. But breathing in and out through the nose, slowing the breath down a little bit, and trying to make the inhale and exhale even lengths. So the breath feels very even, very steady. Now, as the breath is getting a little bit longer, let's try and direct the movement of the breath down into the abdomen. So as you inhale, feel with your hands and your fingers. See if you can feel the belly expanding and rising up underneath your fingers. And as you exhale, just let the belly rest, relax, float back down in towards the body. So inhaling through the nose, allow the belly to expand. Sometimes you might need to actively push the belly out a little bit, just until you get the feeling of the belly rising and falling. Now, as this is happening, try and keep nice and relaxed and still, or more still, through the chest and the upper back and the shoulders. You can almost imagine it's as if the breath is bypassing the lungs, as if you're breathing in through a tube, going right past the lungs. As you inhale, the belly is expanding and filling with air. And as you exhale, the belly is emptying out. So just taking another couple of breaths there. Smooth, steady breaths. In through the nose, out through the nose. Down into the belly expanding on every inhale and relaxing, dropping on every exhale. And then you can just open your eyes and come back up to sit. So that really is abdominal. It's sometimes called belly breathing, abdominal breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. And what is actually happening, of course, you're not breathing air into your belly. But as the diaphragm activates and pulls down, you're pulling air more preferentially down into the bases of the lungs, and the belly contents has to go somewhere. The belly gets squashed, and so the belly expands outwards, just with the pressure of the diaphragm coming down. So that's what's happening there. It's the movement of the diaphragm that's causing the expansion or the movement of the belly. It is such a simple thing. Well, I'm saying simple. It's simple in principle, but sometimes it takes a little while to get the hang of it. So don't worry if you try it a few times and it doesn't feel natural. It's also quite counterintuitive, because a lot of people, they think of when they breathe in, that their belly should suck in, you know, as if you're trying to put on a pair of tight jeans or something, and you're like, oh, breathe in, suck in. It's not that, it's the opposite. We want the belly to relax, be soft, so that as you're breathing in, the belly is expanding. So it's often kind of flipping that mindset of the sucking in as you're breathing in type of idea that you might have had before. Yeah. But it's a lovely thing to do maybe before bed, especially if you've got a lot going round and round in your mind, you feel tense or anxious in your body. A few diaphragmatic belly breaths is really like magic, just to reset the nervous system, release a bit of tension. Has quite a profound effect. It's very calming, very calming. And like anything, with practice, it starts to become a little bit more normal and natural for you. So even with a little bit of practice, now and again, it will start to become, you know, you'll start to do it in your everyday life without thinking too much about it. With practice, with a little bit of effort initially. Okay, great. That is abdominal, belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. Any questions? Feedback, comments, I'm always really happy and love to have. So let me know your thoughts, let me know how you get on with that, let me know how it feels. Okay, bye for now.